You're listening to the Control System Integrators Association's Talking Industrial Automation podcast, where you get to know the people that make modern manufacturing and processing possible. Now, here is your host, Tony Verhoeven.
Thanks for downloading the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. This is a show to help you get to know the people that make modern manufacturing and processing possible. I'll be talking industrial automation with CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve manufacturing and process challenges, and how they became successful in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, I hope you will enjoy the insights CSIA members will bring to this podcast. Hi, it's Tony Verhoeven, and we're talking industrial automation with Steve Newcomer of Phoenix Contact. Hi, Steve. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
You've been here at the... Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. You are here at the CSIA headquarters, and you've been doing some training here, so we thought it would be a good idea. Hey, let's do our Talking Industrial Automation podcast in person.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely. So it's always fun. So thanks for coming. Just wanted to help people get to know you. You know, you've been a long time CSIA supporter and partner and sponsor, so we really appreciate that. So just wanted to make sure people are able to get to know you because you've been out there for years and people have gotten to know you, but through your involvement there. But thought we'd go a little deeper here, try to understand like what's Phoenix Contact going, or what's happening with Phoenix Contact now. But then also, how did you get here as well? What makes you tick and
Sure.
What makes you excited about what's happening in industrial automation? So we'll spend a little time talking about that.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, so first of all, tell me what's your title? What do you do? And tell us a little bit about what Phoenix Contact is all about.
Sure. So I've been with Phoenix Contact for just a little bit under 12 years now. Started out in the technical service department, so I spent a lot of time on the phones answering questions from customers, distributors, and some of our own internal salespeople on product selection and how to apply the product in a given application. So it was really a great place to start with the company, and has given me a level of confidence to discuss the technology in front of customers and distribution partners and such. But my current role now is working with strategic channels. So I'm the associate manager of strategic channels, Those strategic channels include the system integrator partner channel, which is a channel I've been managing for a little over 10 years now. So I've really brought that a lot more attention to that program with Phoenix Contact. So I've looked at different ways of strengthening the program, definitely used CSIA to my benefit to establish new relationships with different integrators across the nation. So, CSIA has been a great mechanism for that. And then in addition to the system integrators, I also manage some reseller partners for process automation and building automation as well.
Excellent. Okay, building automation as well. Okay, Excellent. So what does Phoenix Contact really specialize in here? You guys manufacture some of your own things there. What are some things you get involved with?
Yeah, we are definitely an expert in connectivity and powering and connecting different devices out in the field. So we manufacture pretty much anything for the control cabinet except for drives. Drives is not something Phoenix Contact gets into, but a lot of people know us for a terminal block company. In 1923 in Essen, Germany, we created the first terminal block, or modular terminal block, for the electric utility industry, and that's what a lot of people know us for today. But since then, we have grown into a lot of different product areas. We have over 60,000 different SKUs that can be purchased through us. So yeah, we are a lot more than just a terminal block company now. And as the years have gone by, it's been really exciting to see some of the new innovative technologies that we've come out with.
Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned you're based in Germany here, but obviously you live here, so you don't live in Germany. Or where are you guys based out of? For United States?
Yeah, for the United States headquarters is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Then we also have customer technology centers in Houston, Texas, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and San Jose, California.
Great, great. And I think you also spent some time there as well, right? You travel around sometimes to the other.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I travel a fair amount for work. So I'll maybe work on going to the different customer technology centers that we do have, coordinating training and events and things like that. So a lot of our employees are based out of the Harrisburg office, and then we have a few regional folks in those customer technology centers. Ann Arbor, we have our software engineers and software group up there. But yeah, Harrisburg's really where we have our engineering and our all of our inventory in our warehouse. So the other offices don't necessarily carry inventory or have a lot of employees working there, with the exception of Ann Arbor.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
And you guys have a system integrator partner program, I understand.
Correct.
It, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that is a partner program that's been around for quite a while. I think Phoenix Contact's been doing it 15 to 20 years now. And again, previously it was kind of someone's side job, and then they decided to, hey, we need to put somebody fully dedicated at really growing relationships with integrators. And so I took on that role as that was a newly created role. So I spent a lot of my time kind of cleaning up what was existing there, and really putting together a program that had some meat behind it and some true value for our integrators. So we don't necessarily look to sign up anybody and everybody who uses Phoenix Contact, but we're really selective at who we partner with based on what is the geography they cover, what are the industries that they're focusing on, and really partnering with companies that are serious about working with Phoenix Contact and standardizing on our components for the control panels, but more importantly, being a resource out in the field to help implement and support our programmable or configurable products like PLCs, wireless systems, safety, PLCs, HMIs, so IPCs, those types of products where an integrator really brings value to their customer with their expertise through programming and setting up a network out in the field.
Right, right. And so I think you and I have spoken a bit in the past, but you guys also, some of your stuff is also well suited to harsh environments. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So we are, definitely an industrial controls company, and we do focus a lot of attention on getting the proper approvals for the market. So again, working with UL quite a bit and getting Class 1 Division 2 ratings on some of our hardware, and offering some products with much wider temperature ranges, operating temperature ranges. So, we definitely are, more on the industrial robust hardware side.
Right. What are some of the applications of that? Like where are there huge temperature variances or harsh environments that your stuff is in?
It could certainly be really anywhere outdoors, depending on the geography. If you're in southern Florida or southern part of the United States, you're got a junction box out in the field there that's getting hit by sunlight all day, and maybe it's 100 degrees outside. You're going to have some issues if you don't have the proper hardware out there. You might start losing connections and losing communication with your system. So certainly, in addition to the outdoor environments, there are some harsher environments, maybe in food and beverage, that require some wash down type of products that you have IP67 ratings or whatever IP ratings you need for that environment. There's definitely a wide array of different applications that would require those types of approvals for hazardous environments.
Right. What sort of or are there specific specialties or industry kind of applications that you were well suited to, or you kind of basically will work any kind of application?
Yeah, we really work in various different industries and various different applications because of our wide breadth of products. It kind of opens the door to many, many different things, where it could be just a little green circuit board connector that you see on other manufacturers' devices, all the way to the industrial PCs that would fit into certain applications as well. So yeah, there's a wide array.
Right. Is there anything going on with, I guess, in this industry currently that you are challenged with, that you guys are now taking on with either like a new product line or a new platform, or like what's happening right now that's in industrial automation that you guys are tackling that's super important?
Sure. Yeah, I would have to say a lot in relation to remote support and cloud technology. So that's becoming, a lot more popular within industrial automation. And there's always the concerns for security. And, as, we've noticed in the manufacturing environment, sometimes people are holding on to their outdated equipment a little longer than they should be, operating on, Windows 7 or something like that right now is maybe not the greatest idea, just due to the support and things like that through Microsoft. But we still see people using very outdated equipment. So, it's vulnerable just due to the fact that people aren't really developing security patches and things like that for it. Security and remote maintenance is certainly something a lot of people talk about. It's definitely a big concern and something that we've been getting more involved with lately. A couple years ago, we came out with a product called the M-Guard, which is a firewall, VPN, and router all in one device. And we saw a lot of our integrators and some of our machine builders that work globally start to standardize in using this hardware device to be able to provide remote support where, hey, I built a bunch of machines for South America or Asia or what have you, and you don't necessarily want to send somebody on a plane to go do troubleshooting. At least you can do some from the comfort of your own office, and maybe not necessarily buying that flight last minute to try and get across the globe that cost their customer a lot of money. So we've tried to find ways to make remote support a lot easier and more secure. And then here in the near future, we're going to be introducing some new cloud technology as well.
Now, is anybody out there still have a Windows 95 or 98 computer in a closet running? Is that out there?
It's possible. It could be. Yeah. I've heard some very concerning stories in the past where, hey, do you still support Windows 97 or whatever? And it's like, no.
Yeah. And so does. That's, and most of those are probably not internet connected. So, but of course, Microsoft hasn't supported that in years. They probably are getting away from, like you said, supporting 7 and in other iterations that have happened since then. So when you talk to a customer, how are you convincing them to okay, you're going to go away from this kind of security problem or this end of life of this software to hey, let's get you on board with, now we can remote support you, but now you're going to open yourself up to security issues, right? And once you're connected to the internet, no matter what kind of firewalls you have, there's always, still dangerous. Hackers are good out there. Not good, but they're good at what they do sometimes, right?
Yeah, certainly.
So how do you, I guess, balance that argument or manage that concern or risk in their mind?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it's not only a concern in the industrial automation field, but I think really a concern everywhere. You see some of these stores and consumer stores, they're being attacked with credit card authorizations that are done throughout the day. So I think security is a big concern worldwide in and outside of industrial automation. And there are some things that you can do, best practices that you can do a diagnosis of your network and do an assessment to find out where those doors may be open or closed. And we certainly recommend sometimes getting a professional in there to do a full network assessment, but also sometimes just using some general common sense of how to be more secure. You walk through a plant, sometimes you see different PC stations up that have the login and password on a sticker right in front of it, and anybody walking by could kind of just log into that and do whatever they wanted to.
Right.
There's definitely some best practices to do as well as just using own common sense.
Right. And allowing, there's an open USB port, some person could just,
exactly
plug in a USB from the outside world and, whether maliciously or ignorantly, introducing some sort of virus or malware or ransomware into the system, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about like IT and OT. Obviously, there's a lot of talk, and we've talked about on this podcast quite a bit, this convergence.
Yes.
There's obviously the OT has been, and historically has been, more secure. It hasn't been out open to the outside world. But now there's, IIoT and cloud technology, and the IT people wanting to manage things as a network, maybe with different types of technology. So, but of course, obviously only secure as per our previous point, right? Sticky note or whatever. But talk to us a little bit about that convergence. How are you guys seeing this develop now over time, or even in recent history?
Yeah, I think it's really forcing people in our industry to learn a lot more about IT. We've had some struggles with that, trying to promote our MGuard device, which is a security device for the controls network. And once you put something on that network, the IT guy comes in and speaks a bunch of acronyms or language that the industrial controls guys kind of, looking in three different directions. What's he talking about, kind of thing. So I think it's really forced us to learn more about the IT business and what's important to them, as we have to, certainly tailor to their needs as well. So being that the IT environment is very different from the OT environment, we're finding that they're trying to, certainly tie those networks in together to have a, one department kind of overlooking all the IT infrastructure, that including the controls network as well. So, I think there was a learning curve in the very beginning, and I think we're all quickly realizing how important the IT aspect is.
Right. Tell us a little bit about maybe an interesting project that you guys have, or maybe there's some sort of project that has legend or lore behind it at Phoenix Contact that you're like, wow, we did a really great job at that, but it was really challenging in the past. Is there something that's well known throughout the company, or just maybe in your personal experience? Yeah,
there is, and it was actually with one of our integrator partners, and it's been a story that Phoenix Contact likes to tell quite a bit, but we ended up working with the New York City Transit Authority, more on their power side, but basically they came out with they have these third rail heaters on all the subway systems throughout New York City, and rather than turning those heaters on when the temperature requires it, they'd basically come out in the fall, turn the heaters on, and shut them off in the spring. So this was, not exactly the most energy efficient way of handling the situation, but in order for the tracks to switch and keep ice off of them and things like that, they had to use these heaters. So we ended up using some of our controller products and wireless products to basically develop a thermostat for the rail system. So what we did is we put a lot of our wireless radios throughout the subway system, and basically just monitoring the temperatures and only turning those heaters on when it reached a certain temperature, and certainly shutting them down then at an appropriate time as well. So it ended up saving New York Power Authority very significant money, and just kind of tells a good story that there was very inefficient way of handling ice on the tracks, and we found a way to be very creative and just make it more of like a thermostat that you would use your heater or something at home. You set it at a certain temperature, and it's only going to turn on when it gets to that temperature. So save the client a lot of money, and it's been a very big success story for us.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, that's interesting because, obviously, we were here in the Midwest, and we had in April, about 12 inches of snow this year. So I'm sure it's like, just to have this, mindset of like, well, we turn off these heating elements in April 1 or March 1 or whatever. It doesn't really apply anymore. It seems like, because the weather is strange as it is these days.
Yeah.
So great solution. Great solution. So, let's talk a little bit about like, skilled engineers and kind of the workforce that's out there. It's no secret that finding good engineers has been a challenge for system integrators and probably for you guys as well. Do you guys look for anybody in particular, like a particular type of degree, or do you look more at their background or experience level? How do you guys look for like kind of the right person, kind of engineer or programmer that works for you guys?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for like the experienced individuals, we definitely take a look at their past work history. Mainly something more on the engineering side for the degree, whether it's electrical, mechanical, something within engineering. And we're actually very active going out to universities and colleges throughout the U.S. To do some recruiting there. So I know we do a lot of recruiting at like Purdue and their engineering program, and a couple other schools here, throughout the Midwest as well. But what we have is an apprenticeship program that we run. These folks that are pretty much fresh out of college, they spend a little bit of time in each department within our company, and then they're typically tailored into a couple different tracks, whether it's marketing, sales. We have an IT track as well. So we have a couple different options for those apprentices. They go through the program, and then they're able to apply to the open positions that are available within the company. So I feel like we've done a good job kind of getting the younger talent and getting them trained up, and going through our apprenticeship program has proven to be pretty successful.
Excellent. Yeah, I've heard of other companies, even integrators, who have developed their own like internal universities or training development centers, which is great because, there are a few, but there's not a whole lot of system integrator degrees out there. Yeah. It's, again, I think when I usually talk to people, they're usually like, oh yeah, we look for somebody who's got some sort of a double E or mechanical or some sort of background like that. But they're, people aren't plug and play typically with this kind of background. They need some sort of diverse background, right? Yep. And even fresh out of school, and we all know that too. Sometimes you come out of school, you learn all the theory and the academic sort of thing, but you don't necessarily have like, I can jump right into a job.
The applications that, I agree. It is maybe a lot more theory and not so much real world applications that you're working in going through schools. I think some schools have gotten better at it over the past, but I would certainly agree with that statement.
Yeah. So, what would you tell a college student now who's maybe thinking about engineering, or maybe even a high school student, obviously who's maybe run into this, or if they're that age and they're thinking about becoming an engineer, what sort of things should they study, or should they take in college courses to really be prepared to come work for an integrator or Phoenix Contact?
Yep. Yeah. I kind of reference a little bit of my education just to kind of talk to that a little bit. I went, growing up, I was kind of always enjoying tinkering around with like wiring up stereos and doing things like that. High school, I took, they had some electronics courses and one for house wiring. So I was kind of always fascinated how, wiring something up a particular way makes a different reaction when you're flipping a switch in a house or something like that. So I kind of always found that to be very interesting. But yeah, when you get to the college level, if it's something that you're interested in, I would certainly, sign up for some of those courses, or maybe go talk to a department head and get a better understanding of what some of those classes would offer, and maybe what types of jobs you'd be looking at graduation time, and really see if that's something you want to do. But I went to Millersville University, right outside of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and that was more of a technical degree. So they had a couple different tracks you could take, whether it was computer-aided drafting, industrial technology, it was called back then. It's now called applied engineering. And then they had a mechanical track that you could take as well. So, some of the technical schools definitely offer a lot of different avenues, and I think it's best to kind of take a look at some of those courses, what the work is, and decide if that's really something they want to do moving forward.
Right. So did you now talk a little bit about that? Did you grow up in Pennsylvania? You grew up around that area?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Mechanicsburg. It's a small town right outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the capital. So we're more south central Pennsylvania, in between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh.
Okay, great. And so you currently live there now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're based out near your office there. So tell us about growing up here. Where you mentioned that you like rewire stuff. Did you always kind of have that mechanical mind? Did you always like tore stuff apart? You have and not have parts left over like me? I always have parts left over.
Sometimes you have parts left over, and you're like, oh boy, see how this works out.
Right.
It's like gambling or something,
Right.
See what happens. But yeah, no. Yeah, it was just something kind of growing up. I had a couple friends that were like into wiring stereos and different speakers together. And I just kind of started taking some classes in high school and kind of enjoyed it. Worked on some different projects that were like soldering components into a board to make something work. And I was just kind of always fascinated what all these little resistors, capacitors, IC chips and things like that, how that all works and makes something do something. So it was, I always found it fascinating.
Very good. What did your parents do?
Dad was actually in IT. So he did a lot of, computer programming type of stuff. So wasn't really, of my interest. I kind of wasn't really interested in doing that. So, my brother actually took a career in IT, and, my mom was in accounting.
Very good.
Yep.
So when you were enrolled at in your school,
mm-hmm.
how did you land in kind of in this world? What was there anything that you're like, really, I really want to go into that field of industrial automation
mm-hmm.
and controls and things like that? Or was that kind of like an experience that kind of led you to, I guess what happened, I should ask, you did that, you had that study, but did you really kind of have a mindset of like, this is the world I want to be in? Or maybe take us through how you got to Phoenix?
Sure. Yeah. So, as I said, going through high school, I kind of liked working with electronics from the couple courses I took there. So I looked at some of the different schools in the area that had more of like an electrical engineering degree in Pennsylvania, and there was a few options that were there that were more of a university. So I went to a state school. It wasn't a 2-year technical college, but so I went to Millersville and did that. And when I got at a school, I definitely wanted to put that major to work that I worked so hard on to get. I got that degree, and it's a lot of people I find these days go to college, they get a degree in history or something, and they're never going to use it. So many people get into different fields than what they studied. So I kind of wanted to make it a point to stay in that field. And living in Harrisburg, I knew Phoenix Contact was one of the larger, well-known companies in the area for that industry. And shortly after college, I started there, applied to a position in the technical service department, like I said, and was really a great place to start with the company.
Oh, great. So you've been there basically most of your professional career then?
Yeah, pretty much right out of college. So it was maybe 6 months after graduation I started there, and I've been there ever since.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. So, when are you going to be running the joint?
I don't know. Could be a while yet till that happens.
Okay. All right. So let me jump back a little bit here. What's happening in like industrial automation that is like super, I guess, super cool right now? That's what kind of gets you excited. I know we talked a little bit about kind of what you guys are getting into, but what's kind of in the future? What's kind of out of reach that you see something happening that you guys aren't quite there yet?
Yep. Yeah. So one of the things that we're working on in development stages right now and stuff, and tidying up some, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, but we're looking at more open source controllers. So there's a lot of PLCs out in the market now that maybe talk specific protocols and only work in certain applications or with these particular sets of end devices or sensors because of that protocol. We're seeing that, companies now are starting to come up with more open automation, open thinking, and different programming environments that can kind of all be put into one PLC or controller. So we see that as becoming a lot more popular and something that other manufacturers are starting to come out with. Ours will probably be releasing towards the beginning of next year.
And what's the advantage of that? I mean, I see a lot of open source kind of we see that in operating systems. We see that in other types of hardware out there. What's the advantage of doing that with your software? I guess it seems, I wonder if it's, to me, to the layperson, if it seems counterintuitive to do that, or versus having that, or does it make it easier to integrate for integrators? Yeah,
it actually does make it easier to integrate where, because you can have so many different programming languages applied into this, piece of hardware per se, that's going to be, doing all the controlling and monitoring. It allows several different engineering specialties to program at the same time. So you may have an engineer that's really good with a particular programming language or software package, and someone else who's strong in another. You don't necessarily have to have one person do their part and then have the other person pick it up where they left off. They can actually coincidentally program together, do things separately, and still dump it into the same program for logic control.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Versus this, linear waterfall type of development,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. More of an agile approach for that or something.
So it provides a lot more flexibility. Also, those who may have particular preferences in certain protocols or software packages that they can use for open automation programming.
Very good. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, I wanted to ask you, how do you spend your first 90 minutes of your day? From the time you kind of wake up here, how do you prep for your week? What do you do as far as thinking about from an executive position? What are you doing to kind of set up a successful week or day?
Yep. Yeah. So certainly I would start by checking out the items maybe I didn't get to the day before. But yeah, basically what I would do is when I get into the office in the morning, I kind of plan my day out. What do I want to get accomplished for the day? And maybe what are some things I really need to get done by the end of the week, and try and set priorities of the different items that maybe I have to get working on. But yeah, it's more of managing your time and prioritizing tasks and, setting your work schedule out that way.
What are some of the skills that you've developed in your career that you find the most useful? Even like not even necessarily technical skills, but other maybe some of the soft skills that you kind of hang your head on.
Yeah, I think just networking in general has been something. Maybe when I was beginning stages of my career, maybe a little hesitant or shy just because of that lack of experience in front of people. But yeah, as you kind of get used to it or gain more knowledge, you get a little more confidence and, just the ability to network with others, and also got a lot of experience with managing different sales channels and how to motivate them and getting them the proper materials they need to be successful. So I've, certainly grown in those areas throughout my career at Phoenix.
Very good. What would be some advice that you would give your younger self?
That's a good question. Probably say to just not be afraid to get involved early, get involved in different associations like CSIA and some of the other ones I've been involved with. You tend to learn a lot, not just through others, but just from some of the content you'd get from going to a conference or something, the technical seminars, to hear what your customers' struggles truly are. So yeah, really putting yourself out there to gain additional knowledge within the industry is something I probably could have did a little sooner, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, it's really been great to sit down with you and learn a little bit more about you and talk a little bit about the industry a little bit. So I appreciate you coming in and spending some time.
No, thank you, Tony. It's been my pleasure, and I appreciate you having me.
Very good. We've been talking industrial automation with Steve Newcomer of Phoenix Contact. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Help others find us by sharing your favorite episode with a colleague and give us a rating in iTunes. Visit CSIAexchange.com/podcast for a full list of episodes. Contact us at podcast@controlsys.org. podcast@controlsys.org. Thanks to bensound.com for the music.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Read the Industrial Automation blog and find and research qualified system integrators at CSIAexchange.com. For more information on why your system integrator should be CSIA certified, visit controlsys.org. controlsys.org.